Welcome to the grey area.
Hey, just gonna do a quick review of these films that I saw. Not all horror movies, but yeah, they're all pretty decent now. So first I've got The Good Liar, it's kind of Helen Mirren and who's the guy who played Gandalf in Lord of the Rings? Ian McKellen. Both like getting on a bit in years, but both like mature actors who know their craft. I kind of thought it was a different film actually. I thought it was one where Helen Mirren was accused of being a spy, but it wasn't. It was like they met up on a dating site, and it was obvious McKellen was ripping her off, trying to rip her off. He's obviously a con man. You see some other cons that he gets down to, but you know there's going to be spoilers in these reviews, by the way, because I'm used to talking about stuff without giving it spoilers. So if you haven't seen it, then don't watch this video, or if you don't care, just carry on watching. But yeah, it was obvious all the while, just because you know movie tropes, you knew that there was going to be a double cross. You knew that she wasn't as innocent. She you know. The Good Liar could refer to him as much as it could refer to Helen's character, and it turned out that she was conning him as much as he was conning her, and she had like reasons and motivations. The only thing you didn't know was what the motivations were going to be. I think the whole idea was you're supposed to think all the while that you know he's conning her and she's going to he was hoping that she'd find out somehow, but it was just like kind of like, no, she's obviously knows something. Everyone's in on it. You know, you kind of just know that just because I don't know, you get kind of movie sense because you watch so many movies that you just know that it's nothing is as it seems, and you know there's going to be a twist. There's always a twist in the tale of these things, and yeah, but it was pretty well done, pretty well acted, but yeah, there was no kind of shock or surprise or anything like that because you just knew that there was going to be a twist in the tale. Right, in this other film called The Hunt, it was a 15, got some quite good graphic violence in it. Basically, it's like some humans hunting some other humans to death kind of thing. It was, first of all, I thought it was supposed to be like posh people or moneyed people hunting down just poor people, but it turned out it was more to do with a political left-wing, right-wing thing. The right-wing conspiracy theorists and stuff like that have accused the left-wing moneyed people, you know, like liberal, I don't know, you know, basically millionaire liberals kind of thing, of hunting them down because one of them had said something in a tweet online. It became a conspiracy, but it wasn't actually happening. But because the conspiracy grew around it, the person who had the conspiracy against her decided, oh well, they think I'm doing it, I might as well do it. So they started a hunt for. They just grabbed a load of people who tweeted this conspiracy and were hunting them down. Basically, it was quite good action. The best part of it was when it first started off, where you didn't know what was going down. You didn't know who was going to be the star. So people who you think were going to be, you know, the main focus were dying left, right, and centre. So you wasn't too sure where the main focus was going to be. It was okay. It was an interesting film. There was lots of violence and. I wouldn't say it was the greatest movie of all time at all. It had a good premise, fairly good premise, but once you kind of knew what was going down, you started asking a few questions like, well, how did that make sense? Why, the stupid things like, why did they give them weapons at the beginning? If they wanted someone to hunt them down and kill them, why did they give them weapons? That didn't make much sense. Unless they thought it was some kind of I don't know, a bit fairer to give them weapons to fight back, but it's just a bit strange, really. But it was an interesting enough film anyway. It was good for some of the action, some of the fight scenes, some of the deaths were pretty graphic. Yeah, it was just cool for that. Right, then the superhero movie Bloodshot. Only a 12 actually. I was quite surprised. It was quite. This is kind of poignant because I used to always go with my Auntie Anne to see the superhero films, and this would have been the next one we would have seen if the blinking COVID hadn't come along and messed up all the movies. Also, my aunt died, so just a couple of months ago. So it's kind of like poignant. It's the first superhero I've seen without my aunt at the cinema kind of thing, so that was kind of poignant. But yeah, it was a decent movie. I enjoyed that. I never was that familiar with Bloodshot, the character. I've seen the comic books from Valiant. I know what the character looks like, but I know nothing about his story. I've never read any comic books with him in it. But it was really well done, actually. he'd been killed. Well, actually, I'm not sure if they actually showed you how he actually got killed in the end. But he'd been killed and resurrected. But he was getting his revenge against the person who killed him and his wife. But then it turns out that the memories that he's got, most of them have been planted in him. So he's not, he's basically being reused again and again and again. His memories are being rebooted, and the face of the person who killed him is kind of like being changed to so he's got a new person to hunt down. Basically, he's just being used as an assassin, but he thinks he's getting revenge for murders. But these people who he's getting revenge on never had anything to do with him getting killed. So, but it was quite interesting. Eventually, like, he finds out, and he starts to try and get his freedom and fight back against those who have been using him as a weapon, kind of thing. Lots of good action in it. Bloodshot's powers, his body's filled with nanites, like the tiny little robots that repair him. Yeah, it was pretty good. Good action, good special effects. Yeah, for even though it was the 12 certificate, it was still decent enough to be enjoyable. Sometimes you want the 18 or the 15, so you get the blood and gore and all that, but it was still good enough fight scenes, good enough action, good enough hard hitting impacts to make you think, not to make you forgive the fact that there wasn't blood splattering everywhere. It was still a decent watch. I enjoyed it. Pretty damn good. Right, and the last movie that we got out, I can't remember what it is now. I forgot. This is the one I watched last. The Invisible Man, another take on The Invisible Man. In this case, it's a abused wife who gets away from her husband, who's an absolute bastard. He pretends that he's been committed suicide. Somehow he gets away with faking his own death. I don't know quite how they managed that, because they found the body. Surely they would have tested the body and known it wasn't him. I don't know how they managed to get away with that. That's never explained particularly. But anyway, he's got an invisible suit, but he's using it to haunt and torture and torment his escaped wife. It was interesting. I thought, to be honest, they didn't ramp up the fear and tension as much as they could have done. Yeah, I thought it seems like it did get there. Yeah, it did get there. She was in a bad situation. And she didn't get to, I thought she would have got to a complete breaking point, but she seemed like, I imagine she was annulled to it slightly because of the fact she'd been used to it. But she managed to start her fight back. No one would believe her, but she managed to start to fight back. When I suppose she'd already been fighting back by escaping him in the first place, and she was determined not to bloody well let him win. And eventually she says that, well, she doesn't say the day, but she just says she gets her revenge in quite an interesting way, actually, in the end. How she goes about getting him out of her life. But it was a good film. It was interesting. Pretty cool effects. Yeah, just it was not one that you remember forevermore, not an instant classic or anything like that, but it was a very decent new take on the Invisible Man kind of concept. Yeah, I enjoyed it. In fact, all the films I got out were all definitely worth a watch. Nothing there I was yawning or anything like that. But no instant classics, no ones that are going to go down in as time immemorial as the greatest movies ever, but all definitely decent watches. Anyway, so check those movies out if you've not seen them already, and cheers for watching. I'm out of here.